It's not just a mindset or a way of treating people. It's a whole ideology, if you will, a way of functioning to keep another group of people oppressed, basically. And if you're doing it from an institutional perspective, it comes through the schools, it comes through the workplace, it comes in every facet of life for people of color.
It really is when an institution has customs and cultures and rules and policies around it that hold another group of people down because of race. Institutional racism, for example, I think has historic elements of how culture has progressed over hundreds of years, even in our society.
Well, institutionalized racism is a entity, if you will, that's existed since probably the beginning of the American colonization. And that's when it began, I would say, in the 15 and 1600s, probably.
In the history of when racism and systemic and institutional racism occurred, it really happened in the advent of slavery. And what was slavery but an economic reality? Using people as commodities and not giving them rights. And developing 200 years later of that culture, I think we are still kind of entrenched in that aspect of what we call systemic or institutionalized racism.
You know, I remember taking trips with my parents from Philadelphia down south to Florida and seeing segregated bathrooms and segregated lunch counters and things like that. So it's in my lifetime where I saw racism being acted out, institutionally as well as out in the community in a much broader sense. We know that this is an issue that continues today, very much so today.
It feels like someone's hitting you and you're saying it hurts. But the other group of people are saying, no, it doesn't hurt, you're fine, you're fine. So if you think about it from that perspective, I mean, just imagine what that would be like. Somebody's hitting you and it does hurt. And you're saying that it hurts, but because people don't want to recognize it for what it is, they keep telling you, no, it doesn't hurt, you're fine.
I think a lot of people in our society are afraid to talk about racism. Some people I've even talked to think that, it was civil rights handled that. Thanks to Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, we've addressed racism. That's like saying it all went away in the 60s and 70s, which is incorrect. And I think we do ourselves a disservice to pretend that the problem doesn't exist or it's just in the minds of minorities.
So it's almost like you're being devalued when in reality you have just as much value as the other person, but because racism is a system of oppressing a group of people, whether it be politically, financially, or even just based on how you teach people. You know what I mean?
Be that teachers walk into classrooms with biases around race and perhaps act in ways that exclude kids in the classroom from being involved in certain kinds of conversations, or not even perhaps having conversations that are uncomfortable because of the kinds of kids that they're faced with based on their own biases.
A disproportionate amount of African Americans live in poverty than white people. And so what are we doing about it as a culture? We just say, we put the blame on someone else. And getting back to the systemic piece, it is about how that system has operated over hundreds of years to where it even creates a mindset and changes how we think about the people on the other side of the tracks.
I mean, people aren't aware of it because they don't have to deal with it, So if I don't have to deal with it, why should I have that conversation with my child?
It's absolutely a big deal. And whenever we stop thinking about it, talking about it, acting upon it, we're in really, really bad shape.
Can we fix the problems? Education fixes the problems.
If you're aware that someone is treating someone a certain way, whether you want to call it bias or racist or discriminatory or whatever you want to call it. Knowing that a thing exists, like I said, a lot of times is the only way that you're going to fix it.